Hello, welcome to the Echo Tips podcast. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about an accessibility feature, but a feature that I think is really good for anybody who's interacting with their Echo. Maybe they're in the other room, they're washing dishes, they aren't in line of sight of the Echo, they got their hands full with laundry. I think this is just great for anybody because it almost becomes a subconscious tell that the Echo is listening to your command and when she stops listening and is now processing your command. And you don't even have to be looking at the Echo to see it. So this feature was originally designed with the vision impaired in mind. And I recently learned, as I've been turning on this feature for I don't know how many years it's been since the Echo, but ever since the Echo came out, I've been turning this feature on. But I never knew until recently you could do it via voice. So we're going to learn about that this week. But before we delve into that in any kind of detail, we're going to go to a brief message about our podcast, and then we'll be right back. This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Hey, welcome back to the Echo Tips podcast. As I mentioned, we're going to be dealing with what is known as an accessibility feature, the start and end of request sound this week. And we're going to be particularly talking about how you can verbally just turn that on or off. But first off, I'd like to mention to our new listeners, my name is David Ward. I'm an assistive technology instructor with the New Vision program at Goodwill here in Southwest Virginia. And we appreciate your listenership. You'll find our episodes little nuggetized episodes, 5 to 15 minutes long. Sometimes I go a little longer. I try to keep them short. But anyway, you'll find that about our podcast. And we're coming up on our 5th season starting here soon, and nearly 100,000 listens to the podcast. So we appreciate that, and we appreciate our returning listeners as well. Okay, so let's delve right into this. First off, if you do have an A-lady in hearing distance of my voice, you may want to shut her ears off, and I'll just give you a chance to do that. And that way, when I'm doing the demos, I'm not triggering your Echo at home, and you're just hearing a nice, clean demonstration of what's going on. Okay, so while you're doing that, what about accessibility? We've talked about that over the last 4 seasons a lot. We've talked about features for those that are totally blind. We've talked about features for those that are low vision. That means maybe magnification could be beneficial on the Echo Show, a built-in zoom feature. We've talked about in recent weeks about live captioning of calls, which I think is pretty snazzy, the ability for it to be typing out what the two parties are saying in real time. That's pretty cool. And just, we've talked about hearing aids and other features over the years here in the last 4 seasons. And we've covered certainly this feature, and I do for a fact turn this on for every single student I usually interact with, just because I find it's useful for all sorts of situations where you have your hands full, where you're washing dishes, you're in the other room, you're trying to get your Echo to do something. This is a telltale, becomes a subtle subconscious sign that she is interacting the way you want her to work. So typically this is the way the Echo would interact out of the box. Alexa, tell me the time.
The time is 9:21 a.m.
Okay, so we're all very used to that, right? But it's me just spitting out a command, and I'm not really too sure if she's listening or not, unless I'm visually able to look at the device. I'm in line of sight of the device. I'm in the same room as the device, right? And I see the light up, and oh, she's listening now, and then boom, she's processing this spinning light, right? You get there's a whole suite of light things that interact. But if you're not in the line of sight, or your hands are full, or you're interacting with the kids, or you're running around the house, you don't always see that. So that's why I love this feature for just anybody, but it's especially good for the vision impaired. And the cool thing is you can do it verbally. So kudos to Amazon with the zoom feature, with a lot of these disability features, accessibility features, the ability to toggle these verbally, the screen reader and the like. Just amazing. I really appreciate that. I appreciate that on all my devices that have virtual assistants, including my iPhone. Just the ability to verbally toggle it. Super powerful and useful. So how do you do that? Well, this is what you do. Alexa, turn on start of request sound.
Okay. Start of request sound is now on.
Booyah! So we get a little auditory feedback. I like that. Thank you, Amazon. Kudos. Here's the other one. Alexa, turn on end of request sound.
Got it. Turning on end of request sound.
Okay, so there we go. Now that we have both of them, let's go back to our example. Alexa, tell me what time it is.
The time is 9:23 a.m.
All right, so there you go. It is just that simple. So the beauty of that, you might have heard, is you get that auditory note that she is now listening, and then when she stops processing, and you know, and she thinks you're done, and now she's going to run with it. That can be a really powerful telltale cue that maybe you're not in good hearing distance of the echo, or she's cutting you off, or maybe your spacing and timing in your commands are wrong. So just so useful. And also you're out of line of sight. You're over in the other room. You're giving a command. Super, super helpful. I will say that I did have a little trouble turning on the latter part of turn on, end of request of sound. It's possible if you have home automation tools around your house where you turn on and off light switches or things, she may be kind of confused. So you might have to try that one a couple of times. I had a little trouble with it this morning, but it might just be me. But beautiful that you can toggle this on and off. And this is one of the oldest accessibility features that has existed on the Echo. And like I said, I've been turning it on every Echo I've used for years now. And so you would find this feature, however, if you want to look for it in the A-Lady app, you would go to Devices, you go to your Echo devices, choose your Echo device. This isn't a global setting. You have to set it up for each Echo. And then you would go to the gear in the top right corner, and then you would go down to sounds. That's what's a little confusing. It is under accessibility. It's under sounds. I think it'd be great if you guys, Amazon, put it under both at least. You know, it's okay leaving it where it is under sounds, but also put it under accessibility. And down at the bottom of that page, you can toggle each one of those switches on for start of request, end of request. And for any low vision or blind users that have been using the app lately, the switches haven't been labeled properly inside the app if you're using a screen reader. But nonetheless, that's the great thing about this, is that you can verbally invoke it, turn it on, and boom, you're off to the races. So I think that'd be super, super helpful for folks that are getting a brand new Echo. For anybody really, I think of people that receive Echoes for the radio reading services across the United States, for the blind, super helpful. They can just verbally punch those two words out and their Echo is ready to go, and they get that extra cues of what's going on. Well, once again, thank you for listening this week. If you'd like to give your feedback or thoughts, please do so on Facebook or Twitter at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys. We'd also love to hear at an email address, info@goodwillvalleys.com. Future ideas, suggestions for the show, the like. If you'd like sponsorship opportunities, we really appreciate that. We definitely appreciate the Virginia Industries for the Blind support of this podcast. And we really appreciate your listenership over these last 4 years, and now we're coming up on our 5th season, so we really appreciate that. Well, you know what time it is. It's time to turn the ears back on your Echo.
Thanks, Dave.
Start practicing some of the many things that you've learned.
Let me put
I'm
on
David
my
Ward for the New Vision
official
program. And
sounding
we thank
voice.
you for listening.
Ahem. Ahem. This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Phew. Thanks for listening.